Welcome into the Flight Plan Podcast. We have a jambalaya sort of episode today. Nice job by Zach with that term. Lots of different topics. We're going to mold it all into one episode here as the Jets get ready to play the Saints in New Orleans. We got roster cuts. We got contract extensions. We'll talk a little bit more about Chris Harris and his moment to impress and shine here running the defense, and also potential free agent targets for this team. I'm Tim McMaster, along with Zach Rosenblatt. Please like the show wherever you're watching. Welcome to the Baggage Handlers on YouTube as well. Give us a 5-star review, all that stuff. Still not a lot of comments on the reviews on Apple. Like, get those in there with a little, say something funny, give us a 5-star review. All right, Zach, I'm going to start here because it molds. I think it's going to transition nicely into this episode. During this time of year, Mandy and I tend to watch a good amount of these terrible Christmas movies on like Hallmark and Lifetime, and like they all have the same plot. Every once in a while you stumble upon one and you're like, wow, that was actually a decent movie. But one of them, for anybody that's also living that in their life right now, that's on Hallmark, is about the Buffalo Bills. Clearly the Buffalo Bills were a part of this entire production because Thurman Thomas is in it. Andre Reed is in it. They have actual film of like Sean McDermott and the games. It's legitimately tied to the Bills. But the opening scene, like credits roll, boom, where are we? Across the front of the screen, Bar Bill. Yeah, we go in there and we meet the female lead who is in the middle of a terrible date with a guy who doesn't like football, and she's watching the Monday night game over his shoulder. And it's the cloud. Like you could actually like tell me exactly what happened from there, just from knowledge of these. But Bar Bill, there you go. I thought of you.
I mean, that's great.
I immediately turned to Mandy also, and I said, "This is leading our podcast this week."
I mean, we'll talk about Bar Bill again in a couple of weeks if we're being honest. Like, I'm not looking forward to being in Buffalo in January, but I am looking for the first time I went there a couple of years ago, I started looking forward to this trip purely for the food, which is kind of going to tie into we're trying to have a little fun here before we talk about boring jet stuff, but because we're going to New Orleans.
Don't hate us for it.
I wanted to do a top 5 road cities in the NFL because I was just thinking like what would be my top 5.
Which Buffalo does not.
Buffalo's not, but like if it was purely like to go to the food, like the food thing that city is known for, I think Buffalo would be in the top 5. Like for only
really wings.
Well, it's really good at Bar Bill, man. Like it's and their beef on weck sandwiches, so good. But I think my number 1 for both food and city would be the same, which is the city I'm going to this weekend. But
which I've never, by the way, I've never been to New Orleans.
Wow, that's crazy. I've been to New Orleans many times.
Yeah, I'll get there.
Beautiful city.
Maybe top of the list as far as American cities that I haven't been to. So
I'd have a whole list of recommendations for you.
All right. Well, maybe next year. Maybe we'll get it on the 2026 plan. All right. So what is your top 5? I mean, New Orleans is 1, but you got to fill out the rest.
Yeah. So I'll go from 5 to 1. But so just to lay it out a little bit, I'd say I didn't include places where like the team is not actually located particularly close to like the cool areas. So like Arizona Boston doesn't qualify. The Patriots, the 49ers, like you don't qualify if you're like, you can go to San Francisco when you're there, but it's pretty far from Santa Clara. So I don't count that. I said Chicago, Miami just missed the cut. Underrated cities that didn't make it. I said Tampa and Minneapolis. They both are actually pretty fun cities.
Yeah, Minneapolis is a cool city.
Yeah, and they have a lot of good food. It's just really cold there is also why I just couldn't bring myself.
I've only been in there in July for the baseball all-star game, so I'm spoiled as far as Minneapolis.
There you go. But yeah, so I'd say number 5, Los Angeles. I just personally love LA. I know there is some negatives to LA, bad traffic and all that.
LA over Chicago is an interesting. I wouldn't have gone there.
My problem is I've only been to Chicago during the season when it's freezing cold, and so I just am not motivated to do anything. It is in the times I've been there, it's a great city. But number 4, I said Denver. There's a lot of fun things to do in Denver. The food's really good, great hikes. Number 3, I said Seattle. I had a lot of fun when I was there for the Jets in 22 for New Year's. Really cool, like kind of hipstery city, but like the Pike Place Market is like really fun. Number 2, Nashville. I have some bias there, but I do love Nashville. I got married in Nashville, but I just love that city. And then New Orleans, number 1, amazing food city, amazing nightlife, amazing culture. People are super nice. everything's pretty close. Like you can get away with walking pretty much everywhere, including to the stadium. The stadium itself, I would rank near the bottom. It's a very old stadium, and I really don't like it. The view for the media is like the nosebleeds. It's kind of cold in that stadium. It gets loud, which is fun, but it's really loud. But yeah, in terms of like the pure city, it's number one. Stadium would be near the bottom. Maybe we do a stadium ranking one day too, just for fun.
Lou Giordano, by the way, with an interesting Vegas. I hope you weren't there for long, Lou. I just like
I've been to Vegas too many times now.
Yeah.
I recommend
like
going. I recommend going where you don't have to pay for your hotel and stuff like that. Although it is dangerous because then you feel more emboldened to gamble money because you're like, I didn't spend any money on my hotel or food, so might as well gamble it. But yeah, I don't enjoy Vegas as much as I did when I was younger, I would say.
It's also so hot now. I feel like it gets hotter every year. I mean, it actually technically
Global
does.
Warming, baby.
I realize, but it feels like more of a jump than the like incremental temperatures that we hear about. All right. Well, that was good trip down the
little side
geography.
trip. Yeah.
All right, let's go news and notes for this Jets team this week because we have some interesting ones. We'll start with the departed Alan Lazard. Finally, Zach. Like, I don't know. This is like 2 years late, 6 months late. I don't know. It's just shocking that now is the time.
I was thinking about this. I don't even remember. What was it? 2 days ago that he got cut. He's outlasted Robert Saleh, Nate Hackett, Aaron Rodgers. He outlasted Sauce Gardner. He outlasted Quinnen Williams. Like he just existed longer into the Jets history than all these
Michael
key
Carter,
figures. Joe Douglas, Michael Carter. Yeah, I mean, you name it. Like there's so many guys that have come and gone since Alan Lazard signed for $44 million. Absolute disaster. Like I think we all assumed, including I think some people around the team, maybe even that he was not going to be here this year when we went into the offseason. Like, I feel like if you go back to our offseason pods, we were talking about, yeah, I mean, Alan Lazard will be gone. We don't really need to talk about that. Like, I don't think there was much to say there. And then they restructured his deal, so he took a pay cut to come back, and the idea was to be like a run blocker, but he very clearly was not like very interested in, I don't know, being part of this team. I know a lot of guys on the Badlands Network called him an empty jersey. I don't know that the effort was always there anymore. I don't think Alan Lazard's like a bad guy or anything. I think he's a quirky guy, and I think a lot of people maybe took that in some ways like he was lazy, even around the team. I will say, without like going too deep into any specific stories, when Aaron Rodgers was here, I think it frustrated people a little bit how Alan Lazard kind of just went along with everything Aaron did, kind of followed him around like a puppy dog. And I don't know. I'd like if Aaron Rodgers, there were days when
he owes
Aaron Rodgers
$44 million.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. I think there were days where if Aaron Rodgers wasn't practicing, I think Alan Lazard all of a sudden was like, oh no, I'm not feeling that great today. That's what it's the kind of thing I would say. But, you know, it's not his fault they gave him that money at the end of the day. I did joke on Twitter. I don't know if the soccer ball is going with him. He brought the soccer ball back out a week or two ago. Maybe that was when the writing was on the wall. But I mean, one of the worst free agent signings in team history, frankly, if you just look at production relative to contract value. I think in total, they wound up paying him something like 25 to 30 million of the 44 million. And over 3 years, they got the guy with the second highest drop rate among all pass catchers. He was better with Aaron Rodgers, but I still don't think he was good. Like he was better than being one of the worst receivers in the NFL in 23, which he was when he was playing with Zach Wilson. And I think he had one of my all-time favorite like press conference moments. Maybe it was more just media noticing it, but he's having this terrible season in 23, and we're at his press conference in the locker room, and somebody asked him, might have been Connor, I can't remember, like just about how his lack of production, and he was like acting all confused and acting like what lack of production, and then like his answer to like his struggles were, you know, it's a team sport, like the team isn't doing that well, and like he was like deflecting all responsibility for his struggles. He was a unique guy. I did crack up when Pro Football Talk was theorizing that maybe the Ravens are going to claim him on waivers so the Steelers can't get him. No, he had 10 receptions for 70 yards this year. Nobody's tripping over themselves to sign Alan Lazard. I'm sure he'll end up with the Steelers just because that's the way it goes.
That is in the chat right now. I was wondering if he goes to the Steelers or just.
I mean, he might go to no one. Like I think that's certainly on the table. Like I don't know what he brings to the table at this point. Like he played a little bit and did absolutely nothing. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just funny to me when that stuff comes up. Like, why would anybody claim him on waivers? There's no reason to do that. I would guess he signs with like the Steelers practice squad, maybe. Even the reporting that they wanted to give him a chance to sign with a contender. No, they wanted to give him a chance to reunite with his friend. I don't actually believe it was a mutual thing. I think it was more like the Jets were like, he serves no purpose here anymore. Adios.
At what point did he though this season? Right?
Like, yeah, I don't know. I couldn't believe he stayed on the team even past the deadline when it was clear they were giving up on everything. Like, what was the point at that point?
Maybe he kind of became like the guy with the stapler in the basement.
Yeah. Just forget that you're paying him. Yeah.
Just kind of forgot he was around.
Just hope he doesn't come back and burn the building down, I guess, like in that movie. But yeah, I feel like we've done enough on Lazard. It was just kind of funny that it finally happened, that he lasted this long, but now he's gone.
Another guy that I think we were thinking maybe would be leaving at some point, but now will be sticking around is Jeremy Ruckert, who gets an extension. I guess like he's a guy who you knew when they drafted him that it was a bit of a project. Yeah. I would say maybe that project is still behind schedule, but this coaching staff must believe that like the goals can still be reached with Jeremy Ruckert.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Like, I think it's fair to look at him as a third-round pick who didn't live up to that billing. I think the previous staff drafted him with the idea that he'd be good by his third year, and I think he was pretty bad last year, frankly. He's been a solid player last year. I think there's some people who are like overreacting to this contract and looking at the pure stats, which, he has like 180 yards or something this year, which is a career high. He's not a great tight end. He's fine as your backup, as your 2 or 3. I think he's become a solid blocker, and he's a guy they like in the locker room. And it's a 2-year, $11 million deal. I would guess it's really more like a 1-year, like $6 million deal, which is kind of what the Josh Myers one was. It doesn't hamstring you at all. You view him as a good depth, and they think that he can keep getting better. So, like, going crazy over this is just so stupid to me. And the idea that, like, I tweeted that he's having a quietly nice season, which, relative to what he did before, it has been a quietly nice season because he's doing like the things that you want out of a backup tight end. He's not doing what you want out of a third-round pick, but we're past that point. That's the previous.
Yeah, you have a first-round pick, right?
Yeah. So, you have Mason Taylor, you have him. I think you feel pretty good about that position. They still can and probably will add somebody. I don't know if that's in the draft or like a guy in free agency that is more of a pass catcher or a pure blocker or something like that. Like, I don't think they're done at tight end, but I don't fault them for this move. I don't think it's a big deal, frankly. If he's terrible next year, you can come back and tell me I was wrong, but I think he's been fine this year. And, they wanted to keep him and they got ahead of it, and they don't give him that contract if they don't think there's room for him to grow still, which I think they do.
And bigger picture, though, getting ahead of it is not something we're used to around these parts.
No.
Is that how much of that is like Muji's influence over Woody and like allowing him to allow that, or how much is it just like previous regimes didn't have an interest in that and Muji does? Like, is Woody part of the equation in them suddenly?
I mean, Woody has to approve it, obviously. I think AG is also a big part of it, too. Like, I think he sees guys like Josh Myers and Rucker who do things right in his mind that he thinks can be culture guys. And so he wants them to be back without having to worry about losing them on the first day of free agency or whatever it is, and rewarding guys who they feel deserve it. That's why I think it wouldn't surprise me if they're not done yet. I forget if I guess we haven't had a chance because Ruckert happened since our last pod. So I like the guys I pinpointed as possibility. Like, Nick Folk isn't young, obviously, but he's played really well, and I think they'll probably want him back. I said Kene Nwangwu, he's been banged up, but the combo of him and Isaiah Williams is one of the best return duos I can remember, and I would bring him back at the right price. I can't imagine it'll cost a lot because of the injuries. I said Harrison Phillips, his contract next year is non-guaranteed at $7.5 million. Make it a 2-year deal, and you reduce the cap hit a little bit, and you lock in a guy who really is like the leader of this team now and kind of the spokesperson. Let's see, they had something. Oh, Tony Adams just went to injured reserve, so his season's over. So there you go. little news while we're on here. The safety room is
breaking news. I don't have a stinger to throw up.
Yeah. That probably ends Tony Adams' tenure with the Jets, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be back. He's been benched like 5 times now. But yeah, so in terms of like extensions, like I think Brees would be on the table. I don't think that'll happen yet. If they want John Simpson back over AVT, I could see John Simpson happening soon. But I think they probably want to like evaluate between those two guys who they want and if AVT wants to come back. Oh, interesting. This actually is an interesting. The Jets just signed QB Hendon Hooker to the practice squad. That is a interesting one. There you go. Breaking news alert. He was drafted by the Lions. I think he was a 3rd-round pick, I believe. Hold on. Let me just tweet this out. A little news while we're on the pod. That doesn't happen usually. Not significant, but I was curious if they would try to sign him after training camp when he got cut by the Lions.
Tennessee, right? Tennessee. Yeah. He was really good in college. Yep.
Yeah, he was just really old was his thing, and it didn't work out quite the same way.
He's 27 now.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the fact that they didn't sign him when he got cut after camp was a sign that they didn't really believe in him. But late season flyer on a quarterback who they know something about, like Tanner Angstrom worked with him, so that is mildly interesting. I mean, for a team that doesn't have much interesting going on, I don't blame that at all. Tyrod and Justin Fields were practicing today, which is interesting also.
I was going to say that. Yeah, I was going to bring that up. So now you have him in the mix.
I mean, I would say there's a non-zero chance that Hendon Hooker plays for the Jets at some point. Just the way these quarterback things go with injuries and stuff.
Now, with that would require. Well, let's transition to Brady Cook because that was our next news and notes anyway. Who is starting this week? In order for Hooker to play, it's going to take an injury to Cook, right? It feels like at this point, there's only 3 games left. He's starting one of them. He's going to start the rest of the way as long as he's healthy, right? There's no point in going to either of those other guys.
Unless Cook was like really, really bad on Sunday, which I don't think he will be. I think he's at baseline could be a professional quarterback.
I mean, there's no way he's worse than the worst we saw of Justin Fields this year.
Agreed. So, if he gets hurt, you probably go back to Tyrod initially if Tyrod's healthy enough, but like, is Justin Fields just shutting it down completely? I don't know. Like, we probably don't actually see Hendon Hooker, but the fact that I can't rule it out just kind of says what you need to know about the quarterback room here and how things go. So yeah, I mean, at Cook, I want to see some strides this week. This is a defense that has been not terrible, but it's going to be a tough environment in New Orleans. Like, even if their crowd's not full, it gets loud in there. So it's an opportunity for him to go out and prove himself a little bit more. Another week under his belt. I'm very curious to see how he looks. If we're saying Tyrod and Justin Fields are healthy enough to be active, I would guess Tyrod is the number 2 and maybe Fields is like the emergency 3rd or something like that. But I guess we'll find out on Sunday. This would be a great time for Fields to be the Taysom Hill in the land where Taysom Hill has become Taysom Hill. So, we know he doesn't want to do that. So, Cook still has a chance to prove himself here. Hooker, they're taking a flyer on him at the end of the season. Can't hurt him, and you can sign him to the reserves contract and keep him around for training camp and all that stuff in the offseason program. So I don't hate you bringing him in, and him and Brady Cook are kind of your quarterbacks in the early part of the offseason program when, let's say they're waiting to draft a quarterback. They need somebody to throw the ball. So, you have Hendon Hooker and Brady Cook right now, and you don't have any. I mean, Fields technically, but I can't imagine he's going to be showing up to those sessions if he's still on the roster then.
Imagine if he isn't, though, and that's actually like the quarterback depth chart.
I mean, it might be a brief moment where it is.
Just for like a brief time. That could be like...
Yeah, like before free agency, when you cut Justin Fields for caps or whatever minimal cap savings.
And sign some veteran, yeah.
Yeah, then you just have... Or even in the moment before you are able to sign the veteran, though, like you cut Fields and you have Cook and Hendon Hooker on your team.
Amazing. Third, next topic. You have a story out on The Athletic today where you cover a whole bunch of stuff, but we are going to focus in on the free agent portion of it because you look ahead to key guys that are out there. And I think with the understanding, and you couch this a little bit, that like you don't have an expectation that Darren Muji is going to do what the Patriots did and like sign a bunch of big name guys. It's going to be more what we've seen from him in the past, but there are some interesting guys with some of them with connections to this team or that are obvious fits that are worth talking about, I think. So let's get into those. First of all, ties to the team or ties to the coaching staff. Lions linebacker Alex Anzalone. Obviously, this is a team that may be in need of a linebacker, depending on what happens with those two guys that have regressed this season. So a leadership guy that Aaron Glenn trusts at the linebacker position. If you're going to spend, that seems logical.
Yeah, I mean, those two guys are very, very close. Like to the point where, I mean, Anzalone played with him in New Orleans. Like, so they go back to New Orleans. He followed him to Detroit. I mean, he didn't technically coach him in New Orleans, but they were around each other. And it was to the point where like there's all these quotes with those two guys. And I talked to Alex actually when I did my Aaron Glenn story before the season. And there's all these stories about how Alex knew what Aaron Glenn was going to say before he would say it. Like, because Anzalone had the green dot and would be calling the plays on the field. Like he would know what Aaron Glenn wanted before he would even, like that's their level of connection. And I think the Jets were missing that. Aaron Glenn wasn't calling plays on defense this year, but they were missing just somebody to be the culture setter that like knows what Aaron Glenn wants. Anzalone, I think, is either 29 or 30 or turning or in that range. So he's not like the age range they want, but I think you put him in there, make him the leader of the defense, not Sherwood. And if you bring Sherwood back, you kind of let him be off to the side, use his athleticism, make him get a little more creative with him as a playmaker to where he doesn't have to like get everybody in place, where I think Anzalone would be a lot better at that. And so I think there was an impression even last offseason that Anzalone and Glenn wanted to reunite. Didn't really happen. Anzalone was unhappy with his contract status. He'll probably hit free agency. And if he does, like I would pretty safely predict he'll be a Jet, but we'll see. Like maybe they still are sticking with it. We only want to sign guys who are under 30, which would affect things, but they need guys on defense. And I think ultimately, if you look back, it was probably a mistake they didn't bring any veterans in because this team did lack some leadership this year.
Really missed CJ Mosley, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Even though his skill set had clearly deteriorated, like, yeah, this is him. This is that guy.
Yep.
All right. Safety. Quentin Lake, the Rams safety, likely available. There's another guy that at a position of desperate need.
Yeah. So I think if the Jets are going to spend money on like good money on any free agents, I think it'll be on defense, especially. And I would say probably safety would be near or at the top of the list. And Quentin Lake will be at the top of most free agent safety rankings. He's young. I think he's a really good playmaker. He's a name to keep an eye on. A couple others I mentioned were Reed Blankenship and Geno Stone, because those are guys like the Jets need guys who force turnovers, and those guys have done that historically in their careers. So they need playmakers in such a bad way. I think that's going to be a major priority. And I mean, this is part of that story. Like if you think about what they need, especially on defense, but across the roster, you definitely need a quarterback and a backup quarterback. You need a wide receiver too. You need, depending on what you do on the offensive line, you need a left guard. Depending on if you bring Breece Hall back, you would need a running back. I think they bring him back. You need defensive end. You need depth at defensive tackle. You need linebackers. You need both safeties. Or no, you need one safety. You have Malachi Moore. And then corner, like I like AZ Thomas and Jarvis Brownlee, but they're not like proven and they're both injured now. So yeah, that's a lot of needs. And so I think defense will be where the money gets invested this offseason, though.
All right, up next, same thing, sticking to the defense. Patriots edge rusher Clavon Chason.
Yeah, I listed a few pass rushers in there. They need some pass rushing juice. They just don't have it right now. They need somebody outside of Will McDonald. He has 7.5 sacks for the Patriots. He's probably earned a bigger payday. I think they're going to delve into that kind of range of like young pass rushers that maybe aren't going to command like $20 million a year, but some guys who are high draft picks who hit the market, who have some talent, and I think they draft a pass rusher pretty early too, and just reload this group. I don't know what's going to happen with Michael Clemens, but they do seem to like him, so we'll see if they re-sign him. He'd be kind of the funniest one if they extended him before the end of the season. I think fans will.
You think people are mad about Rucker?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens.
All right, one more, and it would be a homecoming for John Franklin Myers, who I think you'd have to say the Jets as the team probably regret letting him get away. He went to Denver and played really good, but he's going to be a free agent now. So you could always try to bring him home.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say, and this was in that article, like he never wanted to leave the Jets. Like he he said that even in the aftermath, he told people that he loved it here. He loved being a part of this locker room, living in this area. They traded him away to save money when they went to get Reddick, but then he restructured his deal to make it very affordable, and he would have done that here. So it was just a terrible move in retrospect, and I imagine part of it was Joe Douglas's hands were forced a little bit. I mean, I can't imagine. I think I know this to be true, where he kind of had to choose one or the other, probably via Woody, in terms of like the finances, and he chose the guy who had 20 sacks like a year before that. So you get it on paper, but they really missed JFM in the locker room. They missed him on the field. Versatile. He's had a really, really good season in Denver. I think he's earned a decent amount of money, but he's also going to be around 30 or 31. So that is a factor, but I think he'd be amenable to coming back at the right price. At like, I don't know what you pay, like 2 years, 24 million or something like that. Like, I don't know. That's just me guessing. Spitballing, it might be more. I think it's worth it, and he would help both at defensive tackle and defensive end. And I just think they need a guy like that in this locker room again. They need a leader, and he would probably be a captain right away. So,
all right, one more roster thing to hit on, then we're gonna get to Tankathon and picks for the week, and that is Will McDonald, because they face the decision here of whether or not to pick up his option. Something that probably a year ago felt like a no-brainer, but it just hasn't been the same guy. Like, there's been those flashes, obviously, when he looks like an electric pass rusher, but there hasn't been enough of that. And then the one fault he's always had, right, which is the run.
Yeah, I think he's had a rough year, frankly. And he's not banged up as far as I know. So, all the talk in the offseason was he was going to be a lot better as a run stopper. And for most of the season, they took him out on run plays, and he's played more on those plays recently. And I think PFF has him ranked as like the worst defensive end of all of them to have like at least like 400 snaps. He's like the worst at run stopping. And in terms of every defensive end that's logged a snap, he's in the bottom like 5 out of all defensive ends. And pass rush, he ranks like in the 30s, I think, in pressures, which is not good. He has sacks. He has 7 sacks. 4 of them came in one game, and then he only had sacks in 2 other games. The other day, I think he technically had 3 pressures and a QB hit. And on those pressures and the QB hit, who'd they just play? I'm blanking. What team did they just lose to?
Hold on. Sorry.
Wow, I just had a major brain fart. Who was it?
I just did the same.
Miami, and then
help us, Jaguars. Yeah.
Jaguars. Yeah,
that's where we are this season. That we can't remember who.
Yeah. So Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence had a touchdown run, and he. Everybody's telling us that.
Thanks, everyone.
He had a touchdown run, and he completed like 2 long passes on those pressures and QB hits. So, like, not impactful to the point where like 50 million doesn't seem that bad for a talented pass rusher, but now it seems like a lot for a guy who regressed and looks like he can't be a productive pass rusher independent of what's around him. He needs everything around him to be right. And I don't know that that's worth 50 million. I as we're sitting here right now, I would probably decline the yeah, we are morons, you're right. Decline the option.
Comments are great.
Yeah, they beat the brains in, and that's why I can't remember, because somebody hit us in the head too many times. But yeah, I would decline the option and just use that as motivation for him, and hopefully he plays better next year. Like, it's one where you wonder what they could have got for him in a trade at the deadline at this point. But I do think he has value, and if you can get like a really good defensive end, maybe it's in the first round, and you make Jermaine and that guy or your starters, and Will McDonald shuffles in on passing downs to be just hair on fire, get at the quarterback kind of guy, that could work. But as it sits right now, he's not a full-time defensive end. Like, he just hasn't played that way.
All right, let's get to the picks. Here's the standings. First of all, Rich T. Ryan still in front. One down, though. He's back to just a 1-game lead over Mark A. Checky, who's moved up a little bit, and then a 2-game lead over Chai Jets fan. And Zach, you were out of the top 10 now, back down to 12th after you only got 3 right.
Yeah, rough week.
And then me, who said the most confident I've been all year in my picks, and I got half of them right. So it is what it is. That's why this never seems to work out. All right, let's get to the games, and we're going to focus on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's focus on the Tankathon games, the bad teams, and the games we kind of care about outside the Jets. Obviously, this one, a key one for the Jets, because we've been pointing to it for like a month, the fact that they're playing the Saints. Now the Saints are suddenly playing better football, and the Jets have hopped over them in the draft order to 5th. But if you happen to go out and beat the Saints, obviously that's going to swing right back the other way. So like at this point with 3 games to go, and I know we always say like you want to win games, you want to play good football, there's reason to build momentum. I think with 3 games to go, we throw that out, Zach. You got to lose.
I mean, the reality is I don't think they're starting Brady Cook if they aren't like okay with losing these games. Like as much as I like they want to see what they have in him, like if you're trying to win, you're playing Tyrod probably. So I think that says a lot. I mean, and then looking, so I think I have the Saints -4.5. That is a pretty big line, honestly. But Jets, they're not very high on the Jets, and you're in New Orleans. The Cleveland game, the Bills need that game, and the Browns stink. So I imagine the Bills are just going to run them out of town. I am intrigued by the Titans against the Chiefs, actually, because the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's the one. That is the one, because who knows what the Chiefs may just roll over now. I don't expect it with Andy. Like I feel like they're still going to have some pride, but like they don't have Patrick Mahomes. So
yeah, I'd say that Arizona could beat the Falcons certainly, and they're right there in the order as well. Like if the Jets were to win, I could see the Cardinals winning as well. Let's see. What are the other ones?
The other
Washington,
one is the Raiders
need a
at
quarterback
Houston.
Anyway.
Raiders at Houston, which
Houston's going to just run them out of town. I mean, the big one for the Raiders is against the Giants next week. The Giants only 3-point underdogs against the Vikings.
Yeah.
You want the Giants to keep losing. Like
the Vikings actually played okay,
really well. Yeah. JJ McCarthy looked better. Yeah, you want so root for the Giants to keep losing. I know Jets fans enjoy that. And then next week you want the Giants to lose to the Raiders as well. So the more the Giants lose, the better, because you want the non-Raiders or Browns to be the first pick, and it's looking iffy. But I think the Giants are pretty bad, so we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. Where is that game? The Raiders Giants game?
It's in Vegas.
I don't know if that matters.
I don't know if it does.
Yeah, that one's going to be interesting. But this week, outside of like the potential of the Chiefs just like imploding now that they've been eliminated, and the dynasty's over and Patrick Mahomes is done for the year, like there is that possibility. That spread is crazy to me. It just doesn't look right on paper.
I know.
Like Chiefs by 3.5 over the Titans.
Yeah. What a world.
That goes to show you what kind of a year and what kind of a state that team's in right now. All right. Any closing thoughts?
No, I'd just say, next week. So I have a story that is hopefully going to come out next week. And if it does, the person that the story is about is going to come on the pod. It's a friend of Badlands, I would say. And I'm excited about that story. So I hope it works out. The story's coming out at some point regardless, but I'm just hoping it's this next week because it's already done. And I'd say, as you said at the beginning, if you guys weren't listening then, please write a review on Apple, and we're going to read all of our best and funniest reviews at the end of the year. So make sure you do that.
So we need something to read, basically, is what we're saying. Come on, get out there. Even if you've reviewed us before, I think it'll let you do it again after a while. So get in there. All right, that's going to do it for this edition. Enjoy New Orleans, Zach.
Thank you.
Have some.
If any of you guys are going, let me know.
Yeah, meet up with Zach. This is a good time of year to make this trip, man. This one really works out.
Yeah, it's like 60-something degrees there. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Other than the actual football game, it's a great time to go to New Orleans. All right, thanks everybody. We'll talk to everybody soon.